только вперед. Ну-ка, что ли? Нет, это другая. Так. Еще живешь, значит, неплохо. Значит, плохо, да. Сиди тогда. Блин, вообще просто нет таких, как они даже самые, где... Да. Здорово, да. Вот это плохо, ну как бы, почему плохо-то? Ну вот нет, ну что теперь сделаешь, мам, что сделаешь? Ну нет. Наоборот. Постоянно играть-то надо быть наоборот. Ну я понимаю, ну вот так. Ну как, то что, ну это, продажи, да. Нет, вроде. Ну, да, непонятно. Ну понятно, да, подожди. Ну, скорее всего. Так нет, ну да. Мы же не видишь, что это значит. Да, кстати говоря. Да, наоборот, это есть на самом деле. Ну, она обо мне так говорит у нас. Ну, отчасти правильно, да. Ну смотри, одинокий холостой мужик это уже нездорово. Ты согласен хоть, нет? Или ты даже это под сомнение ставишь? Это уже неестественно, ненормально. Ну, скажем так, холостой, да. Типа того. Ну или там хотя бы любовница или сожительница там, да. Проще любовника. Ну с кем-то жить, с которой ты как бы типа квази-семья. Ну, в смысле, с кем ты якшаешься, да, типа того, как объяснишь, да, да, то есть, это по-мужски, понимаешь, это не то, что по-детски, это недородок, это недовыродок какой-то, что-то типа того, да, то есть, да, понимаешь, ну, да, то есть, ты хочешь что-то, ну, да, это как бы немножко, не то, что оскорбительно, ну, ладно, ты типа инвалид-то, я не инвалид, и как бы, и вообще как бы, да, понимаю, да. Ну нет, я плохого-то не хочу. Ну да. Покорить. Ну, короче, да. Да, город-герой, то есть например. Профессия между. Вот там знают, что это намного лучше. Это все как бы, оно все не считается, понимаешь? Да, да. Ну, можно сказать подготовка, ну да. Ну, помните.
This right here, built through this video. It certain animated approach.
Нет, ну нет, надо, да. Ладно.
Hello everyone, I'm Sberbank. I'm a 15-year-old musician from India, and this video is to thank the whole United States of America for all the wonderful opportunities and honors that it has given me. And during 2017, I went to America for the first time, and in this 4 years, I've been there like for almost 10 times. And I performed there in many concerts and talk shows such as Ellen and Real and San Bernardino's and more and more. And I was gifted with this wonderful piano which is right next to me. It's the Steinway and Sons by Mr. Michael Novogratz from New York. And he just saw my performance once and he told everyone that I'll give this guy a Steinway piano. And that was it, he made it, and now I have dream piano in my home, and all the credits goes to the entire Novogratz family. And similarly, myself and my sister got a 2-year scholarship from International Music Sessions Camp from New York, and we went there and we did a lot of things there. And above all, CBS World's Best Contest has changed my life as I won the title of that show, and that is again from America. So I would love to express my respect for a lot of things there. And above all, CBS World's Best Contest has changed my life as I won the title of that show, and that is again from America. So I would love to express my respect for India and America by playing their national anthems on my either hand simultaneously. Thank you.
Ну, чтобы такая техника получилась,
Video has become
Мужские
part of
ролики, да.
creative everyday processes. We are using
держать постоянно наоборот. Ну да, да. Ну, очень надо. Надо не смиряться, понимаете? Да, ну дальше идти, ну как хочешь, долго, короче. Не женщиной быть, а. Возможно, не знаю. Что? Что, мне с голоду предлагаешь умереть, что ли, чем?
Vimeo links on our website to showcase our work. We are sending clips and works in progress to our clients, and that's actually probably where it's most helpful because there's no extra steps that they have to.
Нет, я знаю, что ты хочешь удивить меня? Да, вот она играешь, что ты не всякую плохо играешь. Ладно. У меня все даже нормально нету. У меня работы даже нету, о чем говорите. Если у тебя нет работы, у тебя ничего скоро не будет тогда. Понимаешь, очень простая логика, да. Ну, дохода нету, скажем так. Легального, да. Я не знаю, во что фигню идет. Я просто говорю, легальный доход вот так. Что, вы так что ли думаете? Ну, пожертвование это легальный доход вообще. Если это доход вообще называть, да. Ступени денег лишь на кассу, да. Да, это он был сам. И что теперь? Он тебе говорит. Тебе. Турмойл. Ну нет. Time to done.
Hey there, how's it going? I'm doing this challenge again for two reasons. One, I wanted to see if there would be a difference in how how's it? Hey there, how's it going? I'm doing this challenge again for two reasons. One, I wanted to see if there would be a difference in how much I could get done if I didn't need to worry about the art. And second, and most important, I just found it to be a lot of fun and I wanted to do it again. If you haven't seen my first video trying this challenge, there's a card up top if you want to see how it went using an asset map. After doing that challenge, I was just really wondering how I would fare without the limitation of pre-made art, or any pre-made asset for that matter. In reality, I was a bit bummed out with my first game. It functioned, kind of, and I wanted to see if I could take what I learned to make something I'm a bit happier with. So, deja vu. It's the next night and 11 approaches. This time, I'm removing all handicaps and restrictions except for the 1 hour time limit. So let's see how it goes. As usual, I begin by creating the player sprite. And since this lovely orange box is going to be my player art, I'm also able to quickly add in a solid object that I can use for the ground and walls. Then, adding the platform behavior to the player and tweaking a few settings, I have the player moving and jumping. Because the camera ate up so much time in the last challenge, I decided that this game would consist of single screen levels and the ability to screen wrap. I'm a big fan of screen wrapping in games, and over the last year or so I've tried several different ways to set it up. For me, what I found works the best is to create an object that represents your screen. I give it the scale to behavior so the camera always centers itself on its origin point. Then I set it to the viewport size, in this case 854 by 480. Then we just have to compare the player's X and Y against the screen object's X and Y. Then we need to make sure that we add the screen object's width or height and divide it by 2 to get a correct comparison of its origin point in the center. If the player is too far to one side, it will be repositioned to the other. For me so far, this is the simplest way I've found to do screen wrapping. Alright, we're 10 minutes in and I'm feeling good. I pull from the same idea as last time, and I start to add pickups that the player will need to collect to open the exit. But unlike last time, instead of picking up one object, there'll be several. To keep track of it all, I also create a level manager object, which is entirely used to store level-specific instance variables. Things like the current level number of the layout, the total number of pickups on the level, and how many of those pickups the player has collected. But unlike last time, instead of picking up one object, there'll be several. To keep track of it all, I also create a level manager object, which is entirely used to store level-specific instance variables. Things like the current level number of the layout, the total number of pickups on the level, and how many of those pickups the player has collected so far. Now with the player able to grab the pickups, I need to add a level exit or there's going to be no way to progress. It was around now that I could really see how much slower this process was when adding in the art. I'm not even 20 minutes in and the core mechanics are already there. Of course, making considered choices like not having a fancy camera and not having to add animations makes a huge difference. So I'm going to stop directly comparing the two projects now because at this point the differences are too great. But I do want to keep in mind that any success I have in this game is because of what I learned from the first game. Instead of having the exit be visible at all times, I thought it would look cool to have it appear when the last pickup is selected. I want to add some sort of screen transition after the player reaches the door. So I set about disabling the platform behavior when the player screen, directly comparing the two projects now too great. But I do want to keep in mind that any success I have in this game is because of what I learned from the first game. Instead of having the exit be visible at all times, I thought it would look cool to have it appear when the last pickup is collected. I want to add some sort of screen transition when the player reaches the door. So I set about disabling the platform behavior when the player overlaps the door. This caused the player kind of just awkwardly sit in space on the side. So I made it when the player reaches the goal, they are set to the center, which looks a lot better in my opinion. Under 30 minutes in, and it's time for some level design. Well, set for when from the differences are too great. But having the exit.
Нет, понимаю, как на тебя. Народ. Народ. Ну да, по идее так. Ну да, да, понимаю, да. Да. Ну не только, понимаешь. Ну да. Ну да, это да. Вот. Ну да. Ну да, ну. Ну, ладно, нет, ну вот нет, наоборот. Ой, бьют я вообще, да, что-то не... Возможно, да, нет, ну не может быть, да, короче, ладно, работать надо, понимаете, вот это имеется в виду. Ну если не, ну да, ну как ты хочешь тогда вообще, я так не могу, понимаешь, сконцентрироваться в смысле даже не могу. Да-да, пока что. Ну не получается, тренированный когда. Ну, пока дохода нет. Надо говорить нет, не выживать, если нету дохода. Больше некому там ничего. Нету никакой души. Или она улетела. Или как угодно там. Ну нет, что-то есть, конечно, это медно какое-то есть, но я просто, наверное, не зафиксировано просто, да. Какое-то тепло, не знаю, никто не знает. Некая масса, да, темная, или какая-то светлая, не знаю, это не что-то, да. Ну пока что. Ну и что ты хочешь сказать-то? Да. Ну да. Наверное, как-то. Гипотетически, ну как-то так. Ну, мне тоже так кажется, что около этого, да. Расплылся как-то, как-то плавать, расплылся. Вот это, ну что за разговор? Да, честно говоря, здорово. Ну да. Да. Ну здорово, все, так, ну здорово. Здорово. Здорово, вот знаем, да.
Should be visible at all times.
Зачем?
So I thought it would look cool to have the piano reflected. I wanted to add some sort of screen transition after the player reaches the door.
Так я вас
So
всех
I set
люблю,
about
понимаешь?
disabling
Только ваши мужья, во-первых, знают про это или нет? Во-вторых, как бы, понимаю, да. Ну и так далее. Почему я знаю? Ну это мне не касается, как бы. Ну да. Он понял, что ребят. Ну да, типа того. Наверное. А как сделать так, чтобы муж тебя оберег? Ну, типа, защищал, чтобы он тебя никуда не защитил как-то так. Что перестать делать надо? Да. Ну, он понимает тебя уже. Ну да. Ну, пасешься души, ты говоришь, я наоборот. Это не надо, это уж слишком понимаю. Слишком не можно. Нельзя такое говорить было. То есть можно жить не в мужскую сторону, если ты женщина. Не имеешь права. Ты знаешь, жить в мужскую, я понимаю. Ну нельзя жить, короче, да, понимаю. Короче, нельзя вся жизнь как черт. Да, понимаю.
the platform behavior when the player overlaps the door. This caused the player to kind of just awkwardly sit in space on the side. So I made it when the player reaches the goal, they are sent to the center, which looks a lot better in my opinion. Under 30 minutes in, and it's time for some level design. While laying out the levels, I had to be careful to make sure that all sides lined up correctly. Otherwise, the player could end up screen wrapping into a wall. My thought while laying these out was that the goal of the game would be to see how fast you could get through all the levels. I was planning to have a timer to keep track of how long it took you to make it through the whole game, but in the end, I just didn't have the time to put it in. I added an infinite fall level because, seriously, who doesn't love this? I love it so much I also made it the windscreen too. And for no reason other than it sounded funny to me, I made it so that the player doesn't follow the instructions and hit enter on the final screen, but instead chooses to collect all the extra pickups and go in the final door. Well, we'll see. Here's where this gets sad for me because I have to admit to a behind-the-scenes screw-up. So I use OBS to record my screen, and a while back I had the number pad multiply key set up as the start and stop record hotkey. I honestly haven't used this in forever and completely forgot that it was set up that way. Without realizing the consequences of my actions, I pulled up my calculator and multiplied two numbers together. You guessed it, my footage stops here sadly. This is me realizing it about 6 minutes after the challenge ended and I went to check the footage. So I don't know what happened. I thought recording was still going. It is now 6 minutes past. I did a recording of just the playthrough and I just went and checked the footage and apparently it stopped recording about 10 minutes short is what it looked like. It stopped recording 20 minutes short, of course. So that sucks. I lost some of the footage there, but I'll show off the game now. That's jump back in and take over for the real-time footage because the audio quality is terrible. The part that I didn't get recorded, I really didn't do anything crazy. I just polished up the game a little bit to make it feel good. I think the only extra content that I added was an extra menu and the secret level you haven't seen yet. I added a constant rotation to the pickups and door to give them some visual interest. I definitely think this looks better than squares just sitting on the screen. I created a particle object that is created when the player collects an item. This just gives an extra little bit of fanfare and feeling to collecting the pickups. And my favorite effect, which ended up being so simple to put in, when the player reaches the goal and its position is set to the center of the door, I then tween the size of the door to be super large. With the door above all other screen elements other than the player, I added in a slight delay before moving to the next layout, and it makes for a really great screen transition. I was able to add a menu, but it's just a layout with a button on it that takes you to the first screen. I couldn't even take the time to figure out a name for the game and type it in above the button. But I got a menu in there and it makes me feel like I achieved something. The last thing I spent some time on was the final level. If you don't follow the on-screen instructions and press enter, but instead collect all the pickups, which there are 39 of them, and go to the door, you get taken to a secret level which contains, well, I guess you'll just have to play it and see. I'm just kidding. It takes you to a soft lock room because I have a really sick sense of humor. In the end, I'm really happy with this little game. There's a bunch that I would love to add to the game, of course, but as a core couple-minute experience, this game came out great and I'm really pleased with it. These super short design sprints are just something I find really enjoyable to do, and I have a lot of fun with them. Over the last week or so, I've begun streaming on Twitch, and we've done a couple of these challenges live, which were a lot of fun. We did another 1-hour challenge, as well as a 3-hour challenge using an asset pack. I've been having an amazing time chatting and making games with everyone. I'd like to say an extra special thank you to my video producer Patreons. During these crazy times, I very much appreciate your support. You are all awesome and it means a lot. If you want your name here and the ability to see videos before anyone else, the link is in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you are healthy and safe wherever you are. If you'd like to catch one of these challenges live, join me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Vinlar. I won't be doing them every time I stream, but I'll probably do them at least once a week. If you would like to get in contact with me, you can leave a comment below, message me on Twitter, or better yet, join me and a bunch of other cool people on the Discord. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribe on my challenge itch page. The link to it, all my other games, and everything else I've been talking about is down in the description below. Once again, thank you for spending some time with me. I will talk with you next time. Have a good one. Later.
Итак, расходы, доходы, налоги, итого прибыль за месяц.
Погодите, прибыль? То есть у вас за последние месяцы бизнес...
Ну нет, понял. Домой надо, домой. Так, что мне надо найти? Так, говорю, сохранилось хоть нет? Нет еще. Нет, не надо. Как я туда приеду, что там нет, то есть как бы. Нет, понятно. Нет, ну нет. Да, сюда я думал, что ребята, да.
Core is the new free game creation platform that lets you build, publish, and play games. It's a great way to quickly get started with designing and building, especially if you want to create a 3D multiplayer game. Just pick a framework and start building your own games right away, using thousands of free, high-quality music, sound, and art assets, all with no coding required. But if you really want to dig into it, Core lets you create your own game logic using Lua. You can build games from scratch, or remix and reimagine content shared by other creators. And when it's time to publish, your game will go live on the Core platform with a click of a button. Starting August 6th, Core is partnering with Dungeons & Dragons to host the Design a Dungeon contest. If you've ever had a great dungeon design idea, now's the time to show it off in this fantasy-themed dungeon building contest with over $20,000 in prizes. Core is completely free, so be sure to check it out by clicking on the link in the description. There, how's it going? If you follow my content, you may know that I like making games in short periods of time, without the timelines. I have...
Себя, да, понимаю. Определить, да. Этого недостаточно, надо работать. Как ты будешь учиться играть? Играть людям, с людьми, да, понимаю. Ну, все выступать, да. Ну, да. Ну, я думаю, что не понимаю, да. Ну, фирму говорит, понятно. Капустой погоняет. Вот люблю я, понимаешь, тебе нравится мне. У меня, да, даже не имеют кончено, понимаю, да наоборот, когда. Ну да, вот это и есть оно. Да. Это надо понимать, соображать, что ты делаешь. Да. Для чего, как, в каких условиях. Ну, на каких условиях. Ну, да. Вот, ну. А я хочу освобождаться, чем мне освобождаться. Ну, это как-то не так освобождение происходит. Ну да, в смысле, надо понимать. Да. Одиночка. Нет, женщины, они, наверное, будут повторять просто. Ну зачем им? Если у них все нормально, то они, ну, дети, может, их заставить, как бы, что-то как-то. И то вряд ли. Может, да, какашки, писюльки вот эти все, да. Ну, понимаю, да. Без того, как да. Вообще, да. Я понимаю, это. Да, ну ладно, ну, меня понимаешь. Нет, это я придумал, конечно, да. Молодец.
I have a problem with falling naturally into a perfectionist mindset, where I can basically halt all of my progress because I can't get one aspect exactly right, which leads to the path of if I can't get this one thing correct, then why bother with the rest of it?
Женщина, не важно, как ты работаешь, у тебя направление такое, что ты исчезаешь со всех работ, понимаешь, да? То есть не важно, сколько ты испорчена, у тебя жизнь идет хорошо, ты исчезаешь из этого мира. Все про тебя забывают, только сам место, да. И ты этому, по идее, способствуешь. Ну, как бы не то, что способствуешь, но как бы само получается, да, понимаю. Да, это вот это, да, понимаю. Это хорошо, значит. Да? Значит, да. Возможно, оно самое есть, да. Здоровье, счастье, любовь и здоровье, это вообще, да. Понимаю. То, что я гипотетически, да. Да, понимаю. Против женского организма, здоровья, психики, любви, эмоций, всего остального. Но за душу зато, мы душу развивали, да. Мужскую, да. Да, понимаю. Ну да. Ну вот видишь, вот чутко, да. Как-то нужна, да. Ну как бы я в таком смысле, то есть ты нужна нам, в смысле, как бы, да, чтобы мы про тебя не знали, в смысле, да, типа того. Ну так нет, а ты чего, да, про тебя говорю. А, нет, у тебя написано. Это что, я, ну вот она так вот. Ну, своя по-своему.
So I'll end up stopping working on something and just never being able to finish it. That changed for me when I started making games. I had to let those perfectionist feelings go because I had no previous experience. I was forced to allow myself to make things that weren't perfect because I didn't know how to make them perfect. I barely knew how to make them do what they did. And then I found game jams. The first game jam I ever did was put on by my friends and it actually had a 12-hour time limit. Finishing that game was such a rush. I was absolutely exhausted, but I was so excited that I was able to finish it. It really was an awesome feeling, and one I kind of got hooked on. Then, on top of game jams, which I do a fair amount of, I started giving myself other small challenges. The goal wasn't really to create a great game, but to push the limits of getting something to an enjoyable state in a small period of time. A while back, I made a couple videos about making games in an hour. I haven't made any other videos about these kinds of challenges, but on my Twitch stream, they were a weekly occurrence for a while. For a little over 2 months, every Monday, I made a game live in 1, 2, or 3 hours. Usually 3 because it fit the stream length a little better. And some of the games actually came out pretty interesting. I like to make devlogs about my projects. I do really enjoy the fact that other people seem to really like them, but a big reason for making them is I like to have the memory for myself of a project that I worked on. These challenge games were fun to make, but they all don't deserve their own devlog. So this video is to document what I learned and what I made from pushing myself once a week for a couple months. I did unfortunately forget to download several of the stream VODs, so I don't have all of the making of footage anymore. That's my bad, I was supposed to do it and I forgot. But I still have the games and we can still play them. Like I said a moment ago, I've already made 2 videos about making a game in an hour. One using an asset pack as the base, and another without. I began streaming right around the time these videos came out, so it seemed like something fun to do live. So I decided to try it out. The first live 1-hour challenge had no restrictions other than the time and having to talk to chat, which actually is a pretty good restriction. It's a mobile style game where the player moves their box between 2 points. Collect the yellow squares while holding the red. It's simple one-button control. Press to move from one side to the other. I did enjoy setting up that while the player is moving, they can actually press the button again to immediately go back. This made for some fun pickup possibilities, even with the random spawning of the objects. And 1 hour is a really short time frame, so that's all I was able to finish with this one. It's not too bad. It's fairly simple, but it does work. My color choices were awful, and the particles are a bit strange, but overall, it's alright. The next week, I upped the time to 3 hours to better fit the stream length and added a challenge of an art pack. All the art packs I use in these challenges are from creators on itch. Credit will be in the bottom of the screen, and links to the packs will be in the description if you want to try them out. My chat voted on a shoot 'em up game, and I went for a vertical scrolling shooter. Working on this game really hammered home to me just how much time implementing art adds. I was a bit overconfident now that I had 2 more hours than before, so I added more scope. And you know what happened next? I ran out of time and wasn't even close to what I was on itch. Credit, but overall, it's alright. The next week, I upped the time to 3 hours to better fit the stream length and added a challenge of an art pack. All the art packs I use in these challenges are from creators on itch. Credit will be in the bottom of the screen, and links to the packs will be in the description if you want to try them out. My chat voted on a shoot 'em up game, and I went for a vertical scrolling shooter. Working on this game really hammered home to me just how much time implementing art adds. I was a bit overconfident now that I had 2 more hours than before, so I added more scope. And you know what happened next? I ran out of time and wasn't even close to what I thought I was going to make. I had planned for at least 2 enemy types and a boss. What I ended up with was 1 enemy type and no real AI to speak of. They just kind of fly down and the player can shoot them. There is a score and the player has life, but when I realized I didn't have enough time to make other enemies or a boss, I hastily added a wave system that, let's just say, has issues. After the first couple of time challenges went so well, this one taught me to be very careful with my overconfidence. Adding a little more time doesn't mean you don't have to worry about going up in scope, even when keeping everything fairly simple. For bonus fun after the time, I made sound effects because sometimes you just need to laugh. Alright, I've done 1 and 3 hours. Why not try 2? This time we let the patrons decide the theme, and the winner was Advancing Wall of Doom. 2 hours was really a strange time frame. I got all the mechanics in fairly quickly and tried to make some art and sound effects. And as you can see, they certainly are there. I made a run the level type game, and created this large wall of doom to add time pressure. Dungeon was also a restriction, so the player has to grab a key on their way to the level exit. I actually enjoyed the mechanics of this one. Simple, straightforward, and they work. I made slime that will slow the player down as they walk over it, as well as spikes and arrows that will kill the player if they get hit by them. The only real issue I have with this game, aside from the art, is the level design didn't turn out very great. Like the art in the last game, it really showed me how much time making good levels takes. And this one didn't quite get balanced out enough. The following week, and from here on out, I went back to the 3-hour time limit. And this time, I combined the previous 2 a little. I chose an art pack to use as my base, which was a top-down dungeon crawler. And I kind of like the idea of...
Хорошо. Нет. Да это не нет. Это, ну вот нет. Да нет, вот она говорит. А, это она имеет в виду, нет. Покажи, что делаешь, что это. А, что делаешь, вам интересно, что ли? Или что? Капусту говорит другим. Вот она имеет в виду, что капуста говорит, вот капуста. А, что она, не понимаю. А, секретно. А, типа это. Что они имеют в виду? Бульон, да? Бульон. Покупать да, про себя. Подгорелый бульон, например. Ну вот так, да. Ну да. Ну ничего, все кто знают, что ты говоришь. Да, в себе одну книгу, да, она понимает ее. Как-то так вот, да. Странно, я не понимаю. Вот нет, наоборот, знаю. Это мужская тренировка, понимаешь, женщина как-то немножко, да. Ну нет, да как ты, ну вот и все. Да. Вот еще там есть, эти говорят же, да. Мастера там, да, понимали, значит. Вот и все, да. Знаете, даже совершенно не понимаю. Потихоньку расходуешься. Да. Если расходуешься, потихоньку догоняет. Расходуешься, да. Да. Понял. И воспринял, и воспринял. Что такое? Включается постоянно. Да, вот я говорю, да. Ну что,